let's pray. We send you off with a prayer.
We circling up?
That's what
Come circle up and hold hands. You don't have to.
God, I just pray your traveling mercies on Kelly and the boys and the rest of the family. Pray they can have a good time. Pray you keep them safe. Pray that Jim and I can be safe here today, this weekend as well. God, I pray they can just have a good time and have a good weekend of fellowship, and just allow them to enjoy your beautiful creation down there. Pray these things in your name. Amen.
I love you.
I miss you already.
Let me take one quick fly.
Anything else?
When we went down to Tennessee, we got off at exit 1, Kingsport. Remember we had to make a U-turn and come around and come back over
Where are you
there.
getting? Wait.
Party time!
Hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. Today, this video is going to be a little different as Kelly and the boys are gone and I'm here alone for 5 days and I'm going to tear up a bunch of stuff. So come along. So if you've been following the channel for a while, you know one of the most favorite things my wife likes to do is sit on the porch and just enjoy beautiful nature, calm weather, all that type of stuff. But unfortunately, when I built this house 20 years ago, that really wasn't something we were into. So it has a very tiny little porch. Well, coming up in a couple weeks is our 29th wedding anniversary. Kelly and the boys currently are on their way to Tennessee to enjoy a cabin retreat extended weekend with her side of the family. I had to stay at home to be able to take care of the animals and manage the farm. But really what that was code, me lying to my wife, because I want to try to build for her right here in this space a great outdoor living area. And it's going to be a deck that you can access straight off the porch, and even have a pergola over top with a canvas stretched over it so she can have some shade there. We have some challenges with this. A, I got to get it done in 5 days. B, I've got to do some earthworks, and the weather's not really cooperating right now, as you can see. There's some rain in the next 2 days. C, I can't attach it to the house. The brick facade, it's against code to attach any header boards or anything to brick. So we're going to build a freestanding structure. And D, or 5, 4, whatever point I'm on, I'm going to try to do the deck, the actual deck boards, the top surface, out of milled white oak, and we'll be putting it on green, which has a ton of challenges. So let's get into this. We're going to take you guys step by step. This is either going to be an epic success with a huge surprise reveal at the end, or it's going to be an epic failure with a huge what have you done to the house reveal at the end. So stick around and we'll see how it goes. Either way, Kelly's going to be surprised. Okay, so since we just had a bunch of rain, I think the logical thing to do, instead of doing the demo, why are you guys leaning so far on one side? Instead of doing the demo, we're going to go ahead and load up the trailer and go get our material. So hopefully the sky's supposed to open up a little bit this afternoon and maybe dry out. So we'll get material while it's wet. Hopefully do some demo once it dries out. So I've got my material list. I even have my SketchUp drawing on my mobile app so I can reference it when I'm at the box store. I've got cash. I'm going to try to do this under $1,000 total. We'll see. And I'll keep a running total with you guys and share that with you, so you can see if I can pull this off for under $1,000. Be nice. But I got to hitch up the trailer and we'll get to the box store. Okay, since I'm en route, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about the design a little bit. So, as I mentioned before, I don't want to attach this to the house, so I'm not going to use a header board or ledger board to stick it to the house. It's going to be freestanding. And we're going to do two main support structures underneath with 2x10s, not resting on four 4x6s that we set in concrete. Those 4x6s will be notched, so the 2x10s can be on either side, resting in that notch, so all that load is transferred down through the 4x6s. We then will just build the deck frame on top of that, so we'll have basically cantilevered on the front and the back, and we'll secure it to those two undergirders, those two main supports, with some straps. We also want to make sure the deck surface is level with the porch. I don't want to have Kelly step up or step down. We want to try to have that transition be exact. So that's why we got to do a little bit of earthworks to make sure we can get everything down. I don't want those two undergirders lying on the ground. The pergola itself will just be 4x4 posts with cross beams, and we'll be using pergola mounting plates, basically these 3-hole and 4-hole pocket plate steel, powder coated. I got them from Vivor. Any of the specialty stuff that we use, I'll put a link below in the description so you can see where it is. So we'll assemble that pergola frame, and it will be attached to the deck below the deck boards. We're going to box it in and brace it that way, lag bolt it through our deck boards. I think that will suffice. I don't want them to have to go through and have ground contact. That kind of defeats the purpose of being cantilevered. Since this doesn't have a roof, there's no snow load to worry about, I think it'll be fine for the 4x4s, not a lot of weight there. Now, as far as shade goes, I ordered a pergola shade cover off of Amazon, and it is 10x12, and it'll mount to the top of that, and will probably be a multi-season mounting, but in the wintertime we'll take it down so it'll have a little bit longer shelf life. And it comes with bungee straps and clamps and other ways to attach it. That's kind of the neat thing of the Vivor brackets. They actually have pergola cover eyelets in them. And if you notice in the drawing, we're offsetting the pergola. We're not going the full 12x16. I want to leave a little bit of a gap closest to the house, because in heavy rain events, the slope of that roof is so dramatic that water comes rushing off of there sometimes. And I don't want to have water damage on the pergola top and all those type of things. And like a little pocket of sunlight there, because I need to put her raised planter somewhere since we're going to have to move it for this construction build. All right, I'm going to start with the hardware first. So I think that's it's easier. Get everything in the buggy, take it out to the truck, and then come back and start loading lumber. But looking at deck screws right now, and nothing's cheap anymore.
Delivery of a call part, not 4740. Delivery 4740.
Yeah. Well, my
Code 50 to self-checkout. Code 50.
Well, there goes $101 just in deck screws. So I got 3-inch, 2.5-inch, and then 10 hurricane straps. $101. Well, that was $366. Actually, that's not correct. There was $500. $566, or $580 some dollars. I'll look at the receipt again because I had a gift card, I had cash, and then the rest was card. But yeah, just under 600 bucks. All right, so I got a little bit of earthworks done there. And we're going to make the assumption that the house is square. Actually, I didn't frame up the house, so it's probably square. If I would have framed it up, then we'd have had an issue. So since we're doing these main support beams underneath, we're going to have a cantilevered element on both sides. We're going to come out 2 feet in both directions. Oh, there's a baby praying mantis. So we're going to come out 2 feet in this direction first. And 2 feet off of 12 is 10 feet. Just going to do a light tappity tap right chair on this one because I'll shoot the diagonals. last night. Keeps the poster nice and solid. All right, so it's afternoon of day 2. Wanted to let some of the sun and the wind dry things out. Before we got in here, it was a muddy mess. Still got some water standing here. But our posts are all good. They're firm. Backfilled them a little bit, trying to level some stuff out. And then just temporarily put 2 screws in this 16-foot 2x10 and marked on my brick. So the gauge for everything here is the height of this brick. So I want the deck boards, the actual deck surface, to be proud of these bricks. So the frame itself will come flush. So as you see in the drawing here, this is the main support structure. This is the undergirder. I don't know what you technically call these things, but this will be the structure that the actual deck frame sits on. And we know we're using 2x8s for our joists. So I just measured down, and believe it or not, I don't know the last time I checked this, but 2x8s keep shrinking. Our 2x8s are 7 1/4 instead of 7 1/2. So 7 1/2 or 7 1/4 down, made a measurement here, and that's where I started. I'm going to just kind of work it back and forth here, because obviously when I measured this was low, lifted that, just lowered that a little bit. So we got to come up a little bit and come up a little bit. But the idea then will be, wherever this finishes out, we'll cut the 4x6s all flush, but then come back and notch inside 1/2 on both sides. So the 2x10 isn't just being held by fasteners, it's being held by the wood stuck into the ground, sunk in concrete. And the fasteners will just hold it together, lateral strength, which is not that big a deal, but all the vertical strength will be transferred to the post, not through the fastener. So I could transfer my lines here. Get the fine adjustments off. Alright, so time for our test fit. Nice. All right. Born to screw it. Okay, so we got our main support girders, beams done, and happy with how that turned out. Ready to start framing out. And so I'm at that spot where I designed it to be a true 16 by 12 deck. So that means I would cut 3 inches off my 12 footers because of the the ends of the joists, whatever those things are called. The boards that obviously put the caps on the end there, inch and a half, put those together on the ends of a 12-foot board, it would be too long. But I just keep going back and forth on it. I like how it terminates with the extra 3 inches over here at the porch. It would actually be almost flush with my little column, which I think would be nice. But I'm just trying to think in my head how that throws things off. It makes the deck 3 inches wider, which means 1 extra row of deck boards, which is what it is. But my pergola then steps out 3 inches. But with the canopy cover I have for it, it's already undersized and has bungees that hold it, so it's not going to be an issue that way. The length doesn't change. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start putting together this back board, do the layout, start attaching all my joists, because I got to do it away from the wall, of course, get all those attached, and then I can shove it back. And then just see what I think about that. And then if I have to come cut 3 inches off the face, it's no big deal. I can just come right down the row and cut that off with a circular saw. But let's start there. All right, so if you look down that line, I think I'm going to go with the extra 3 inches, just so I can have a little bit cleaner edge. The cheapskate in me obviously didn't want to spring for the 14-foot material. So 12 foot is where we ended up. But I think that's going to work. All right, so there we go. Now I want to show you something. This is vexing to me. This is par for the course here at Red Tool House. Dead on, dead center of the bubble level, same back there. But I'm going to zoom in, and look how that back ledger board runs with the brick. So we start in the back corner. Look at that brick line right below my furnace exhaust. So that's about 2.5 inches. So if we slowly pan, now we're only about 1 inch. So that begs the question, is the level bad, or does the house lean to one side? Because that's brick on foundation. So if it's not plumb, then the whole house isn't plumb. Although I do have to say, sometimes things do roll across our kitchen counter. Oh well. She's pretty sturdy. Again, I know I'm quoting code, but I'm skipping code on some things. The code says not to attach deck ledger boards or anything like that, header boards, to brick, simply because they don't have the lateral strength. They only have the vertical strength. So, if somebody would jerk this way, or a wind come and try to pull it this way, then there's a chance it could, pop the brick off and all the brick collapse. But it's pretty daggone sturdy, and it hasn't fully settled yet. I haven't put my hurricane straps on yet. I've got some joists that have bows in them. Like these 3 are not even touching, the 3 where the level are not even touching the undergirder. So once that sags and comes out, or once I take a hurricane strap and tie them together, that may, of course, hurricane strap doesn't really provide a lot of rigidity. It just keeps it from being lifted off. But I don't know. Probably not going to do any blocking in between. I'm going to block, we'll have to block for the pergola areas there. And that's why I have an extra 2x8 to create that blocking. But I don't think I'm going to do any of that. If this was a subfloor for a building, of course, then I would help line up the sheet material and just take all that bow out of it. But I think once we start putting deck boards down, since we're doing 1 inch solid white oak, at least that's the plan, I think it'll be pretty rigid. All right, so it's the beginning of day 3, and it's half the morning's already shot because I can't keep track of materials. So I've done 2 trips to the box store already, which has been fun. But I've got Dad with me. He's over here in the shade waiting for me to get my stuff together. And he has the engineer's mind, so he's going to help me with erecting this pergola. Everything I've seen, there's no instructions on any of the hardware on exactly the order of operations to assemble this. We're looking at 7 4x4 posts that have to be suspended. This hardware, Dad, toss me one of those if you don't mind. Thank you. So this hardware is a series of pockets, so there's no way to lay something down in place once you've got it erected. It all has to be put together first. So the videos that I searched on the internet to see, what a lot of them do, what they suggest is you put the top, the full assembly of the top together, lift it up, and then put your vertical posts underneath it. Well, that's well and good, but 7 4x4 posts is going to be pretty stout. So Dad has come up with this game plan. I think it's going to be spot on. We're going to put I'm going to put some sacrificial boards here on the back where our 3 back posts are going to go to create like a pocket, a place just to hold. We'll put them at a 45-degree angle, start constructing our top, and then taking the tractor and the tractor bucket here and being able to lift that up. So we'll see if that'll work. And if we can lift that up in place, have the tractor suspend that, then we can obviously put our other posts underneath. So we got to do some assembly first. These first, probably need to, I think I have to cut my 12 footers to length too. Still 137 3/8. Right her down. I feel dark, and it's like working in a dream because the water gets in my glasses and everything's just hazed over. Or like I'm working underwater. All right, so as you can see, we've got our pergola in place. Just got to do some adjustments, put the screws in, get it plumbed up, but it's standing. And you saw on the time lapse and the other video footage, we didn't erect the whole top and put it in place. It was just going to be way too heavy to try to manipulate. So we had to kind of learn what to do on the back, and it changed what we could do on the front. The tractor, of course, was a game changer there. Having that bucket, being able to lift these pieces in place and kind of have them floating so I can sock them in there was great. Dad now is working on the electrical. He is really, really good at that stuff. So he's going to put an outlet in here And then up here, high, we're just going to do a switch because we've got those Hampton Bay Edison lights that we want to hang down. I know Kelly really likes that look. And so I've got 48 feet of string lights that should allow me to pretty much do this entire outdoor perimeter. And so weatherproof box here, the top weatherproof box, flip it open, flip a switch, and it'll power the lights. So the reason why we're putting up so high is the Hampton Bay cord before the first light is only like 14 inches long, and I don't want to do an extension cord. I think it looks tacky. So Kelly just stand on their tiptoes to flip the switch. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to go through and work on the bracing. I'm taking another 2x8, and we're going to provide bracing here across anywhere that we can then lag bolt or put a big carriage bolt. So I've got heavy duty 8-inch long carriage bolts that will run through, dog goes down, and that will help kind of suck that in for the vertical support. We'll use screws to help keep us plumb. So screws and shims. And then when I come do the deck boards, then we'll butt the deck boards up around those type of things. Again, using green wood, that's a whole nother point. You wait for the next segment, we'll get into that because there's all kinds of stuff I'm going to be experimenting with, and we'll see if that's an epic failure or not. All right, so Dad's got the outlet done, and he went on home. Mom's not feeling too good, so he went to check on her. And one thing I've learned, or a little tip, I guess, just because of playing around with this and trying to get it squared up, that using a ratchet strap to draw these in so everyone's consistent. And then once they're under tension with the ratchet strap, of course, run the screws through it. So I've already done the first two and got them dialed in exactly. So the distance between the posts at the bottom and the distance between the posts at the top are identical. So that's what we're shooting for right here, is to get these guys to be identical, because the poles move around these pockets a little bit until you get screws in them. And then it helps to take a persuasion device give it a little tappity tap, and we should end up with 12 feet 3/4 from outside post to outside post. Booyah, baby. Right on. And now, so Vevor, however you pronounce it, they sent all the hardware with this too. So you got a bunch of self-tappers, hex head self-tappers with rubber gaskets on them, about 1 3/4 inches long, and they can run all those down. Now, I paid for these brackets myself. This is not a endorsement of a product because of a brand deal. This is just me trying out this product, and so far so good. Paint finish seems to be good because I beat the heck out of one of them trying to get them put in place. All right, so I think I've mentioned this. These are all running together, but instead of buying 5/4 deck boards, the treated boards that don't last very long, I wanted to try to mill my own. So what I did last week, I felled a tree. We had our old log staging area up here. We have a couple nice white oaks. It's a big white oak stand, so in my silvopasture, trying to keep nut-producing trees for the pigs, looking for, selecting the right tree that would be good output for wood and of course not just remove acorn opportunities there. Anyway, tons of oak, no big deal. Put one on the ground and was able to use cable. Was able to use a 100-foot cable and a block and pulley to be able to pull the log down the hill. So it's pretty easy. I really enjoy using that cable to do that, especially on all this steep slope. Otherwise, I'd have driven all the way up around with the tractor and drug it out. But with the cable, just hooked it to the tractor bucket, pulley there at the base of this little maple, basically pulling in a 90-degree angle, just back the tractor down the road. Voila, the tree comes down the hill enough for me to grab it, bring it over and put it on the mill. So I got 2 logs out of that. Now, what's kind of aggravating is you just don't know with these trees, especially in Appalachia growing on the mountainside, how they're going to respond. And this tree had a lot of reactionary wood in it, and which basically means that once you start opening it up, it's like you're taking the binders off of it, so it's going to move in the direction that it wants to move. So some places it really started to warp. In fact, it started to warp before we even got the cant finished. So some boards ended up not only warped, but even out of dimension. We were trying to mill 5/4, 6-inch, and some boards came out fine that way. Other boards, as they were curving, as the cant was curving, as I'm milling it off, then some places we got more, some places we got less. So you can look here and see this board right here. It's got a bit of a smiley face. Well, I think that smiley face is compounded by the fact that it's only 5 inches wide in the middle. So some of these boards are really straight and nice. Like this pile here was another tree that I had, actually a white oak log I had on the ground already. So it came out pretty straight. Second log came out decently straight. First log was a Greek tragedy. But we're going to see what we can do. That's why I brought them down here on the trailer. I've got my planer. I've rolled it over here. That's with using green wood. It's dangerous close to just being a bad idea. I got a brand new spiral head cutter on this, and it almost seems tragic to run green wood through it. It's not necessarily going to tear it up. I just have to clean it really good afterwards to make sure there's not a lot of sap and water. I don't want that cutter to get rusty. But I moved my planer over here. We're not going to dust collect. The dust collect goes back into the barn, into the old pig farrowing stall area, so there's always bedding. But I don't want to do that with green sawdust. I'm afraid you get a compost pile going there with that wet sawdust, all the other dry sawdust around it, everything that's dry in the barn, poof, barn's on fire. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is just let it hit the ground here, and I'll just scoop it up, and we'll probably take it to the garden for garden path stuff. So it's getting late tonight. I'm beat, put a full day in, but I want to at least just see what this is going to take, because tomorrow is my last full day, and I got to see if I'm going to be spending all day just planing and truing the wood, not to mention putting it down, and have a feeling. So this pile right here is nasty pile. So I didn't film it, but I don't know if you can see that, but somebody got a big dip in that board. Why? Because he hit the log guide with his blade again. So this pile here has either a lot of wane on it or has something like that that's going to have to be cut off, and we're going to have to salvage little pieces of it. So all that being said, I may not even have enough wood to do the whole deck. If I don't, then tomorrow afternoon, evening, I may hit the hill and have to drag another log down. So I just don't know if I've got that capacity tomorrow. We'll see. Kelly and the boys will be back Sunday afternoon, but I lead a group at church on Sunday, so I can't bail out on that. Really don't want to do a bunch of work on Sunday. That's not my style, but we'll see. This is a special occasion. So I'm going to fire up the planer. I'm going to invite you guys in here, get a little bit better angle, and we'll fire up the planer and just see what we're dealing with. So one thing I didn't mention in my research and a little bit of experience in working with green wood, what we're going to try to do is put these boards down on the deck with a smiley face. So if you're looking at the circular grain, there's only a small amount of the wood that's quarter sawn. So the majority of the wood is going to be flat sawn, which means green wood, it has the tendency, if it's a smiley face, it wants to go flat or to a frowny face. If it's a frowny face, it wants to go flat or to a smiley face. So what I've got to remember is we want all smiley faces on the deck. So as it goes to lift up with a single screw in the center, it's going to hold it down. So it's going to want to shrink in. So it's going to draw in and lift up if I do all smiley faces. And that's easier to control than if I did frowny faces and the ends wanted to curl up. If the ends curl up, then that's bad news. That makes trip hazards. And I don't want to screw down either end, because with green, as it draws in, then those screw hole areas would split and you'd lose all your integrity of the wood. So we're going to look at surfacing. Really, the only reason I need to plane is I've just got a little bit of, it's just a little bit rough and has a little bit of saw marks in it. So I'm not looking to do a super smooth plane, maybe just a skip plane, but we'll see how it goes. And hopefully I only have to do one side to save time. We've got a little chink in the armor here, and that chink is the feed roller on my planer. It's an old planer. The feed roller just does not like green wood or wet wood. So it just digs in. And so instead of feeding, it's just like spinning a mud puddle in the boards. So we're going to have to look at plan B. I don't even know what plan B is yet. All right, I think this is going to be about as difficult as I can make it. So, let me show you what I've got here, other than potential hernia. So as I mentioned, some of our boards can be 6 inches wide all the way. Some of them have some of that drift. So obviously I can't swap 6, 5, 6, 5 unless I'm doing a full row. This board here, the first one I tried to pass through the planer, I got my hand planer out, power planer, not the old, goodness, power planer out, and it took the high points off pretty quick. So if that holds up, we may just do that. It'd be like installing old school hardwood floor back in colonial times. We'll just put it down, knock off the high edges, and see what we can do. So I started with the one good board you saw me try to pass through the planer, and then just messed with the garbage boards, the ones that just had a lot of funk in them and weren't a complete board. And I cut them, I measured these first lengths, because the span between each column is going to be a standalone board. Now, the reason why I did that is I didn't want to have this little keyway here, this little cutout that in green wood is going to just take off. It's just going to go anywhere it wants. So I'm leaving that out. What I'll do is come back with some dry wood and put those in there, and may even make a little decorative, who knows. That's what I think in my mind, but 20 years from now, it'll still be the same. But anyway, we're going to try to stick some of these boards down. Get those in place. And just see how it goes. Now, you guys are probably wagering or wondering, okay, Troy, what about smiley faces? How many times are you going to forget to check for that? Well, I already did, so we're off to a great start. Okay, frowny face. Now we got smiley face. Some overhang here. If I was a tape measure, where would I be? Here it goes. What is our overhang? ½ inch. And yes, we are pre-drilling first on the ends, the center board part of the board I won't mess with. Dead center. Tell that's oak. Holy moly. We have to pre-drill just to get through it. Choose white oak, he said. It'll look nice. Okay, so that's my first row of 6-inch wide. Now the rest of the boards I have are all 5 wide. And this is the first board. I'm going to true up the end here. And you can see a little bit of a fish belly it has. So that's going to be fun. I can tell I'm going to need to invest in one of those the old board crankers. Yeah, that's going to be fun trying to bend white oak. This will get me to the first 6 feet, but that's about it. So this is where super long boards are nice to install if they're straight. Now you may be wondering, okay, how are you going to plane if you've got all these screws sticking out? Well, I'm countersinking them, but what I'll probably do, if I've got a really whale on a spot, I got a bear down on a spot, then I'll just back that screw out. Yep. She hailed. Okay. So now, got another 5er in here. This is where it's just like putting together a puzzle. Well, I think we're going to stop there because it's almost dark and I'm out of prepped wood. So that's 2 full rows and probably 3/4 of the third. Now I've just got 1,000 more rows to do. This is really like just doing old school hardwood floor and just green wood. May come back even the thickness. With a thickness planer down at the shop, I was hoping to get everything that consistent thickness, because with the mill, you know, the gradient, you know, it all depends on where I got my head, that type of thing. So you're dealing with a 1/4 of an inch is a little bit larger than scale. Actually, no, I think the scale's exactly dead on. So 1/4 inch could throw it off, and that's what we're seeing. Like this second board's a little proud, but I can take care of that. I definitely know the white oak's going to last a lot longer than the 5/4 stuff that you get at the box stores. What we'll do, if this doesn't take off, you know, doesn't warp like crazy and get wacky, once it dries some, then we can come back and put some stain on it and do a really good, you know, deep penetrating stain, not just a light brushing on top. We'll do something that really soaks in and be able to get it to really lock down. Well, I'm going to go find something to eat and a shower, and then we'll tomorrow's my last full day. We'll see how we can do. Got to do a little lesson prep in the morning, and then it'll be on like gangbusters. Supposed to have another beautiful day like we did today. Low humidity, mid-70s. It'd be ideal. And see how much of this I can get busted out. It'd be awesome to get it all done, but I'm just afraid I'm going to get back there and have to go to the woods to get another tree, and that's going to really slow me down. But we'll see. You guys will know, because you'll know here in just a couple minutes in the video. Okay, so I'm not quite halfway yet, but I've exceeded the length of my pipe clamp. So what I'm going to do is take some of this sacrificial oak, and I hate to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to screw down to the deck boards here on the top, so I got a lip to be able to move the clamp further. This is working out really well. If I wasn't using this clamp, this would be a nightmare, because I got some really curved boards. But I'm going to do that. I've got 9, 10, 11 boards left, which should get me, what is that, 55 inches? But it's not, it doesn't go the full width, so probably what, that's 2/3. So 2/3 of 55 inches. I may get 30, almost 3 more feet. And then we'll be out. And what I'll have to do is go down and mill some more wood. I didn't video it, but Dad came down again this morning. He helped me fell another white oak, drug it down to the mill. So I got a log staged, got a brand new blade on the mill, and the game plan is right now it's just hit 3 o'clock. So my goal is to try to be milling by no later than 5 p.m. And that'll, if I need to mill 3 logs, then that should allow me to mill in daylight. It gets dark around here almost 9 o'clock. So that'd give me 4 hours, and I should be able to do that easily. But I just don't want to mill in the dark. I can't mill in the dark. And if I can move the boards to the workshop to get them edged, and then even if I'm up here in the dark doing that, that's not a problem, because obviously I can turn some lights on. Or, fallback plan, rather not do it, but if I have to get up first thing in the morning, I don't have to be at church till 9:30. That's when my class I teach starts. So gets daylight at about 5:45. So I could come out here and put about three good hours in. Go to church smelling like sawdust, but I've done worse. All right, let's get these sacrificial boards screwed down and keep on going. I've been thinking about the finish of this as far as the actual surfacing of it. And I may, as this dries out, if it doesn't take off and become an absolute mess, I may, once it's dry, rent a floor sander. And just like I was doing old school hardwood floors, sand them down that way. Putting these extra holes in my deck, but I have to invest in one of those board benders. I wonder if they'd bend oak the way they bend the pine boards. Okay, so I'm out of boards now, and I have tape measure stuck. 48 exactly. That's what I figured. What do I have on this side? Holy moly. I actually built something square for once. So 4 feet left. So 4 feet, 16. I did 8. I'm going to do 8-foot logs. Much easier to handle, and I can get better yield out of those. I was trying to be greedy and get 12 feet, but with these white oak, they taper so much. So I think if I do, even if I have to do 3 logs, 8 foot long, then it's easier to handle. I'm absolutely worn out, so moving 4 foot less long material just sounds muy bueno to me. But 4 feet, if I can do a true 6, which I'm going to mill a little fat now because these were 5, a little bit more than 5. They're all consistent, but I think we're going to get a little wider as we get. We're going to cheat a little bit. Don't tell Kelly. So that would be 4 feet. Oh my goodness, my brain is absolutely fried. 4 feet, 2 boards would make up a foot, so that's 8 boards. So 8 and 8, 16 boards. 16 8-footers is all I need. Now, if I don't pass out, and actually it's 4:30 right now, and I tell you, don't get old and get on blood pressure medication because it's bending over and standing up, bending over and standing up. Whew. Things are spinning right now. All right, so let's go mill. I'm going to time-lapse milling. You guys have seen me mill. We've already done a little bit of mill footage before in the beginning of this video. This has been such a long series in my mind. This has been such a long series in reality. I'm trying to remember what all I've shot, so bear with me. But yeah, we'll just do a time-lapse of milling. Won't get into any details, but 16 is the magic number. And we may obviously get some extra just for spoilage. Okay, so what did I do? Who knows what I did? Trying to think of what we showed. So, got 2 logs milled, and that produced 13 really good boards, 114.5 inch long, actually 114 to 116. By the time everything was taken into consideration, 114 inch boards. 13 of them, and I needed 16, but I had 4 scrub boards that I wasn't going to be able to get full cut out of. Now, if you're doing that math in your head, 114.5 actually is more than 8 feet. So it allowed me to catch another, these are on 16 centers, so it allowed me to catch another span. So since I'm using that, almost like a typewriter, I'm picking up more extra wood, if that makes sense. So as I go an extra span and put the next one down, then I got double span. And then when I carry that double span up here, then I got triple span. And that's kind of where I'm at right now with this extra board, because that's a cutoff of an 8-footer to finish that out. So I'm just taking these measurements and seeing what I've got left in the board that gets me to a span. So that one was 66 and 64 1/4. is my closest number without going over, just like The Price is Right. So this will go in that area, so I'm not producing much waste at all. In fact, it's coming out quite nicely. So the dilemma is, and I'm probably off camera, the dilemma is I got about 45 minutes before dark, so I need to try to get this done. And tomorrow's the big day, so Kelly's coming home tomorrow. As I mentioned before, I've got 9:30 to about 11 o'clock. I got a church commitment. I can leave after that, and I got to go to the box store, either Home Depot or Lowe's, and get some more ball bungees. I haven't talked about this cover yet. Probably talk about it tomorrow before Kelly shows up. Go ahead and put it up so we could have some shade, Dad and I. But I didn't have enough ball bungees. They only sent X amount. They sent ball bungees. They sent some cable ties and some string. I got this from Amazon, not sponsored or anything like that. But the ball bungees I like the best. So some of them had to even double up. So I need to get more ball bungees. So I got to go to the store and do that. Come back and just do cleanup. The yard is a mess. So I can't have scrap wood lying everywhere. That doesn't look good for a reveal. So I'm going to be up against it. Kelly says checkout, they have to be out of the cabin at 10. But she just told me earlier today that her sister is leaving bright and early because they want to try to get home early. So I'm hoping they don't leave the same time they do. Her other sister has to catch a flight out at 2 p.m. So she's got to hang out somewhere. So I'm hoping they'll decide to hang out with them. I've told little white lies and told them I'm going to be tied up tomorrow after church to take their time and coming home. I've lied to my wife more this week than I have in the 29 years we've been married. That's terrible. Anyway, all this talk, I forgot my measurement. All right, I'm going to quit talking and get back to work. Oh my goodness. Guten tight. Oh, daddy like. Love it when a plan comes together. Sweet Martha. Okay, so it's the next morning, the day of our big reveal, and it is 6 a.m. right now. So I talked to Kelly last night, and they are planning on leaving around 9. And that is about a 5.5 hour drive, but I'm sure they'll stop for something to eat. So I'm thinking I've got about 6 hours from 9 o'clock. So that's getting them here at, what would that be? It'd be about 3 p.m. So that's what I'm shooting for, 3 p.m. big reveal. Now we do have some rain coming. In fact, there's some ominous clouds coming over the valley right now. But all I need to do is clean up. And I don't know that I mentioned this or not, but I've got Edison lights, the outdoor lights. I have the big bulbs that hang down, look like old school light bulbs. And I've got enough to do a full ring of those. That was the whole point in putting the outlet and the switch there that Dad did for me. So I've got to get those hung. And other than just cleaning up, obviously can't leave the yard like this. So we'll put all of our scrap on the trailer, get all that put together, and try to get the porch situated. I moved Kelly's planter box with the tractor, and I almost dumped it. So I'm a little intimidated to try to move it again. That's something I just can't pick up by myself, obviously. So I don't know. That may have to stay there, not be ideal for the reveal. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll just let time dictate that. So I'm going to get cleaned up, and I'll bring you guys back when I start hanging the Edison lights. Okay, so I got all the wood scrap picked up, all the tools put away. The only thing that I have left to do, as I mentioned, was to hang these Edison lights. Basically, just went to the local box store, got these lights. What is it? It's 24 feet with 12 lights. And it's pretty heavy cord. I was impressed with the heavy dutiness of it. And what's neat is there's little hooks just over each light, or little loops over each light that we can hook. So if I did my math right, 48 feet should come around, because we got 12, 12, that's 24. And then we've got, I think it's like 13. So by the time I do the inside of that, 13 on each side, so that's 26. 26 and 24 is 50. 48 feet, so I should be able to find a way to cut some corners if I have to be able to squeeze out the 58. So we're going to start here with the outlet area. That's the one thing, that's why I had Dad put the outlet switch so high. Look at the cord from the first light. So I didn't want to have the light starting low. We wanted to start high enough that it would work. And I also got these stainless steel screw hooks. So we'll see if that's where we'll start. Probably pre-drill those. That will save some time. All right, so come with me and let's see if we can get these lights installed. Whew. I can tell it's about to rain. The humidity is just extravagant right now. Yowza. All right. So let's start with the plug-in. Oh, the neat thing about these too, obviously you can string them together. And I think you can go, they recommend going up to 8 max before you exceed the load. Okay, so let's start with a plug-in. Now before I go around and screw every single one of these in, obviously I'm going to just do a couple per side. That way I don't have to go back and redo all my mistakes if something's off. And you know me, something's always off. Either the project or the project builder. Yeah. Now it's time to screw in the light bulbs. Let's see if we can do that by myself. Well, all in all, I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I'm anxious for the wood to dry out and see how it's going to lay down. I'm going to give Kelly a blank canvas here, obviously, to pick her stains. And once the stuff dries out, then we can stain it, paint it if she wants to, and even let her pick out some furniture that she may want, some more comfortable furniture. My little front porch table is scale isn't right now for this bigger porch. So it's about in 20 minutes. I got to go in and get a shower and get ready for church. The plan is to monitor. Kelly and I track one another with our phone, so I should be able to monitor her all the way up to the top of the hill. That's where I lose signal. So I'll know within 5 minutes when she's going to be home. So the plan, if it's not pounding down the rain, the plan will be to sit out here, having a pipe, maybe reading a book, something like that. Just business as usual, like it's no big deal. And they'll be able to see it as they come up the driveway. So I'm hoping that encourages them as they come in. Hey, where's Dad? Or we saw something in the front yard. What's going on there? And come around. And the plan will be to have some cameras set up here so we can pick that up. Stick around after the big reveal if you want to know some of the details. The total costs. I did shoot my budget, not too badly, but I did shoot my budget. So the next scene will be the reveal. All right, so Kelly is about 8 minutes away, and I brought her hammock up here as well. Try to fill out the empty space a little bit more. So I'm here on the porch hanging out. Hopefully she's going to come around the corner there. That would pretty much be the only option, whether she comes up the sidewalk or comes through the kitchen and out the front door. So I'm going to try to catch all this. Got 2 cameras set up, so we'll try to catch this. Hopefully it's not anticlimactic. We'll see how it goes. I hear her coming up the driveway now. What's going on?
What's going on? What the heck? Wow! This is awesome.
So how was your trip?
It was good. I look a mess. Oh my gosh. That's what that material was for.
Yeah, I wondered if I gave it away when you saw it there.
Oh, of course not. How would I expect this? This is so awesome. You did this by yourself?
Dad helped me. He helped me set the pergola up. Then helped me cut some trees.
This is beautiful.
Isn't it nice?
Oh my gosh, this is so cool.
Yeah, open that box and flip the light switch on, I think. You gotta open it from the bottom. There's a little tab there. See the tab? Yeah.
This is so cool. I love it. It's perfect. Now we have some seating area.
That's right. Yep. Now we just need to get some seats.
Thanks, babe. Yay, now I need to go change my clothes and come out and lay in the hammock.
So you didn't think I was up to something?
No.
I've lied to you more this week than I have in 29 years. Yeah.
Well, surprise lies are okay.
Yeah.
Yes, surprise fibs.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, go change your clothes and we'll hang out and you can catch me up and I can turn off the camera.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you're going to find a swing this late, because I know that when I was looking at them before, when I was thinking I wanted to get a swing, that they're normally sold out about by this time. But they had the one that was...
All right, so it's been a full week actually, 7 days. So
Today's day 7.
Yeah. So what'd you think?
So, I'm not sure what the video looks like from the day of the surprise, but I felt awful and still am getting over the flu. But what did I think? Oh my word, this has been such a blessing. So, in being sick all week, I've been out on the porch the whole time. Literally, we've had no rain. And so the temperature has been amazing. So low 70s for most of the week. And I've either been asleep in the hammock or just out here enjoying coffee and nature, and it's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of a drag to see her come home as sick as she was, and but you couldn't have asked for a better week and a better way for her to recuperate.
Yes.
It was nice, the low humidity and the cool breeze, to be out here and just try to soak up that vitamin D, and of course be away from the rest of us so she isn't contaminating us. So it was a good week, and next week is going to be not so fun a week because it's supposed to be almost 100 degrees for an entire week, but we've really gotten to enjoy it. In fact, we've even had dinner out here multiple nights.
Yes.
We've sat out here till dark and actually past dark and using it.
And the boys have even joined us.
Yeah.
So that's been nice.
Yeah, so we brought the table up here 3 or 4 nights ago, and we've had dinner around it multiple times. It's just been really nice. I wish I would have done this many years ago.
Yes, so we just love spending time outside, and like you talked about earlier, sitting on our tiny little porch was still very enjoyable, but now we can all enjoy it together. Yeah, it's been like a whole new room added onto the house, really.
Yeah. So as I promised, we'll see, what did this room cost us? Well, I grabbed all my receipts and added everything up here. And as I'd mentioned, my budget I was shooting for $1,000. So, and yes, you may guys be thinking, wasn't it kind of crass, Troy, to explain the cost of a gift to the person that you gave it to sitting right beside you? She has access to all the accounts. She can see all this too. But, so hardware, well, actually just screws in particular, $101.39 in screws. Additional hardware, we had the bungees, which I got that Sunday morning, $11.21. Electrical supplies, we had 2 different purchases of $127.08, $10.09, and then we had 2 lumber purchases because some dummy forgot to count the 4x4s before he left and had to go back. So we had $56.66 and then $582.51. The hardware from Vevor was $127.18. And then the shade canopy from Amazon was $48.75. So if you guys have added it all up in your head, good for you. But the total of that is $1,064.87. So it was only $64 over budget.
Yeah.
So yeah. So now in full disclosure, I did have bags of Portland already, so I didn't have to buy Quikrete. So that probably saved me about $50 in concrete. And then I also had 1 set of string lights, which was $49. So, in theory, should have spent about $1,164. But I had those things already. Well, I know this is an exceptionally long video, way longer than we ever do here at Red Tool House, but I wanted to try to treat it all as one video and just capture the whole build process. It was a real fun project to do. I don't know that I'd want to do it again in that short of time. After talking to friends of mine after the fact, they're like, oh, I wish you would have called me. I would love to have come helped and been able to learn how to do that type of stuff. So I had multiple guys do that. Some really young dudes with strong backs and everything that I'm thinking, you idiot, you should have reached out and asked for help. But that's one of my issues. I'm not good at asking for help. Even my dad is like, I'm coming to help you. And he's always there for me, so he knows that even if I'm not asking for help, I need help. So he always shows up for that, which is really cool. So I think with that, we're going to wrap it up. Well, I appreciate everybody watching, and I pray you all have a great week. Take care.
Bye-bye.